Hello, everyone. My name is Austin Connolly, and I am the Marketing Assistant for the ABA LTRC. Thank you for joining us for today's 60-minute presentation as part of the Wednesday Rainmaking webinar series presented by the ABA Law Practice Division's Women Rainmakers Committee. Questions will be addressed during and after the presentation. Please enter your questions into the question box in the webinar panel on the right side of your screen. We'll try to answer all of your questions, but if we run out of time, there will be space on the evaluation form to ask additional questions. We'll also be recording the session, and the video will be available upon request. Please note that there is a PDF copy of the slides which can be found in the Handouts tab located under a questions box on the right side of your screen. Please assist our Women Rainmakers Committee by taking the time to complete the evaluation, which will be emailed to you at the end of the program. We really welcome your input and appreciate your help in creating future programs. Thank you for joining us. We'll now begin the webinar.
Hi everyone, my name is Traci Ray and I'm excited to be your presenter today. We're going to be talking about creating signature events to enhance business development. Our moderator, Jeannie Lee, hasn't been able to join us yet, but hopefully she'll be on the line with us soon. ABA Women Rainmakers, we have this amazing mission and we are in the home of the Law Practice Division, and it is on your screen now. We have webinars that are upcoming in 2017 and 2018, and we invite you to note these dates and join us. Our next one is on November 29th, and it is about LinkedIn. We are currently planning more topics, and if you have ideas, please email Jeannie at jeannie@lawyermentorcoach.com with any suggestions. A little bit about me. I'm the Executive Director at a law firm in Portland. I'm a member of the Oregon State Bar, and I'm the current ABA Law Practice Division Secretary. There's a few more things on my slide, and we're just going to go ahead and skip over those. I will note under my photo is my email address, and I welcome folks to email me at any time with any questions today or in the future. So we're going to go ahead and get started with what is a signature event. And I want to start by saying that it's a unique, memorable, well-attended event that is typically held on an annual basis, that is recognized by a target audience, that the firm becomes known for, and that people talk about, ask about, look forward to, and want to attend. A signature event is something that our firm is very big on. We started a few years ago looking at the ability we were having to connect face-to-face with our clients, potential clients, and referral sources. We've had a few signature events that have spanned our entire firm's history, which we still do to this day, but we wanted to institute a few new experiences for our clients and referrals and friends where we could actually get face-to-face time. So a lot of this is about figuring out who you're trying to reach, how you're going to reach them, and what a signature event could do for your firm. So every signature event, the musts for me are to support the firm's business development plan, to have objectives and expectations, to target a specific audience, to showcase a firm's strengths, and have a follow-up plan. So to start from the very beginning, one thing I would do is sit down and figure out what is our firm's business development plan, and if you already have one, great. And then in addition to that, how would a signature event support that business development plan? When you draw this out, it's important because the partnership is going to want to see how the connection to the business development plan is made and how the ROI could be measured. So that's why you want to throw in the objectives and expectations so that at the end you can look back and say, did we have the objectives? Did we meet the expectations? Target a specific audience. It's really a lot better to plan an event when you have an audience that you're trying to meet. If you can tie those two together, it will be much more likely that your target audience will attend said event. Showcase the firm's strengths. Signature events can vary greatly, from CLEs to social events, to community service events, but you want to sit down and ensure that whatever your signature event is going to do is going to play up to your firm's strengths. If you have people that love to get up and talk about their practice area, then perhaps the CLE is in order. If you have people that are really great personal-wise at connecting with people in a networking setting, perhaps you want a social type of signature event. And then having that follow-up plan. So really sitting down with those objectives and expectations and figuring out that after the event is over, the next day, what are going to be the plans? Who are we reaching out to? Are we assigning who to reach out to? Are we sitting down with the entire group that was there and going through the attendee list, there has to be some sort of follow-up plan to capitalize on the ROI. And a lot of people, when they think about an event, they think about after it's all said and done that day, you go on your merry way, which is really easy to do. You pay the final bill, you move on, but without that follow-up plan and having that from the start, it's really hard to get people motivated. So after every event that we have at our firm, I calendar the next day, the meeting for us all to get together and institute that follow-up plan so that everyone knows that it's expected. So a little bit about the background of our firm. We're 20 attorneys. We focus exclusively on representing management in employment, labor and benefits, and compliance and higher education. So a very small area. All of our employers come from across America and all industries, so we have a very niche area of what we do, but a very widespread across the country. We specialize in litigation and advice. So when we look at our event planning criteria, we look at our strategic goals, our event objectives, and our target audience. For strategic goals, we are trying to provide a meaningful experience for clients. Again, something that they'll want to come to and that they're going to walk away and get something out of. Provide clients with a proactive training to help them prevent lawsuits. That's one of the things we do. We'll talk about it. We're going to go through some case studies of some of our events. And one of them is Oregon's largest CLE, which is actually coming up for us in a few weeks. We have about 800 clients and referral sources come to our annual seminar. So we have these proactive trainings, and it is a big draw. Connect with clients in person. Like I said, that was something a few years ago when, we really realized that so much of what we do is on the phone and via email. To actually see those clients in person is very important to us, and showcase our attorney expertise and firm personality. I think firm personality is something that can really be enhanced through signature events, and it gives you and your firm an opportunity to connect with people on a different level besides the expertise. Business is business, and that's very important. It's what all of our firms are built on, our knowledge base and our ability to help our clients get through tough times and excel. However, when connected, that expertise with the firm relationship, that firm personality, those clients are solidified and they become long-term clients and referral sources. Event objectives, so assign the contacts, set the goals, make the teams. One thing that I've done in the past is to give, lawyers love a little incentive. So I'll have that meeting the next day after one of our signature events, and everyone will get, to order their Starbucks or their, whatever they want. And then I'll split people up into teams, and whoever, contacts their clients or whoever they spoke with at the event first, they'll get $100 gift cards to, Nordstrom's or Amazon or whatever they want. A little carrot can go a long way to get people to follow up. And really, the follow-up of our attorneys directly affects if the signature event is viewed as successful or not. So when the success of an event is out of our hands as the planner per se, it's really important to find a way to encourage people to finalize all of those event objectives with that final reach out to make that next step. And I will even help craft what those next steps look like as far as whether we inviting them to, when are we going to see each other again, and following up on the meaningful conversations we had when someone, it is very common at a social signature event for someone to say, oh, we have this and this going on, I'd love to talk to you about it. And the next morning, the lawyer needs to reach out and say, hey, let's follow up on that. When's a good time for me to come over? So the target audience, the client and potential clients, so figuring out who to invite is really important. Sitting down and matching up the goals with the objectives and the audience is an absolute must. And it's the best way also to pitch a signature event is to have that pre-planning criteria set so that when you're going to your partnership to say, hey, I think we should do this, it is outlined in a way that has business-oriented goals throughout. So event summary. So like I said, we have our annual seminar coming up. It's held every fall, a tradition since 1998. It's a fantastic event. What's unique about it is that we have over 750 people come. We do a 4-hour CLE. We deliver 8 speeches, and it is always super duper themed. So you have a sign right here. This is one of our signs we had a few years ago. We had a Vegas theme. Every year we have a different theme, and we don't unveil it until the invitation goes out. And then when people get there, the entire thing is themed, from the food to the decorations to the titles of each speech, to what people are wearing. It is extremely fun. People get into it. They think it's fun and different and unique. And it's interesting to see lawyers kind of take a very serious CLE topic, but make it really relatable and themed so that people kind of stay into it. We have the one that's coming up, our theme is a rodeo. It's the Barran Liebman Roundup. And everyone is going to be dressed up in Western gear. All of our themes have Western, taglines and, buck up and things like that. And one of the most fun parts about it is we have, splices in the PowerPoint that have really unique, old Western clips. And we have walk-up music, really things to get people really excited and interested and to keep their attention and to keep it lively. And to have, such a large crowd come back every year to an event, and people legitimately are so excited to find out what the theme is going to be. That is one way to take, a regular CLE and make it into something that people are looking forward to. So how do events stand out? They have high-level, cutting-edge information, succinctly shared in a fast-paced setting. So that is how our annual seminar stands out. The photo on this one, it was a Barran Liebman University theme. So from the PowerPoint slides you see, we have a whole stage set up. It had a field goal, it had a schoolhouse, it had, flip charts, it looked like a university class. There are the materials on the tables for everyone, and there's a giveaway for everyone. So we have that unique theme carried throughout, and surprises to keep the attendees entertained. In the middle of this event, where it was the Barran Liebman University, we had the University of Oregon dance team come in the middle, go down all of the rows, and they did a performance up on the stage, and people were blown away. It was totally out of the blue. Nobody knew what was going to happen, and it was a really fantastic way to keep everybody motivated. Plus, it's football season here in Oregon at that time. It was a really fun way to keep people entertained and get them, just really excited about the second half of the seminar. Planning the event. So from planning committee, we try to, internally, and this, you take some of these suggestions, you leave a few on the table. But at our firm, we really like to use all of our signature events also as a team building experience. For example, we have our marketing folks that help with them, our admin professionals, attorneys, and we really try to recruit anyone who's excited about it to get in on the planning. It's a great team building exercise, and people get to work together in a different way besides, answering our clients' needs. We assign roles and responsibilities. We establish a budget, which of course everyone always wants to lead with that. Budgets are extremely important. Things can get expensive if you don't stick to a budget. I always say anybody can throw $1 million event. It's a little more challenging to throw what looks like $1 million event for, $15,000. But it's about being creative and resourceful and understanding event planning in general. If anyone has questions about that for me, you can always email me offline, and I'm happy to answer questions about budgets. But I would say one thing that an event will always be critiqued on is the follow-up, and then did it stick to a budget. So being really smart about setting a budget that is realistic when any signature event is originally pitched is very, very important. Also, setting a detailed timeline with deadlines. All things that go off smoothly are met with deadlines. I set deadlines a week in advance of all real deadlines, and if people aren't able to get to the things that they've been assigned, we reassign. It's very important to stick to deadlines in all event planning, and signature events, especially when you have hundreds of people coming to something, you need to make sure that you're meeting those deadlines, especially if there are print deadlines. Those are the most important. And then meet regularly to discuss the progress and the issues. This is where it can get complicated if you do have billers on any signature event planning team, but you can always get their bullet points from them before and not have them actually sit in on meetings, and we have found that to be pretty successful in-house. So promoting the event. It depends on the type of crowd you're trying to draw, but you can do ads in local papers, website click campaigns. You can do through different affiliates that are local to you. For us, for example, our local HR association, because we're trying to reach human resource folks. So, you know, if you're trying to reach bankers, the local banking association, you know, whatever your industries are, you can find those affiliates through social media, through LinkedIn. Personal invitations, still to this day for us, work the best. And that can be generally an email invitation is the best way for us. You can also do an entire email campaign where people know that they're not being personally invited, but that it's right there in their inbox. And then press coverage. One of the best things we can do to set ourselves up for future success is having press coverage so that any signature event gains credibility and it gains long-term attendees. Here is a sample that we have from a few years ago. We did a rock and roll theme, and it was a really fun theme. People got really into it, and that was what our invitation looked like that went out. So featured our speakers, featured some fun little taglines. We called it Barran Liebman Rocks, and we called everything hits. And so these themes, you know, at first you take a theme and you do start building it out. And so this was a really fun one as well if anyone's looking for theme ideas. So some of the event challenges. So coming up with new themes every year, especially if you want to do different themes. On the opposite end of that, what people have said is some folks do signature events where it's the same theme every year. And that can also be a challenge, keeping the same theme fresh. So just coming up with ideas to make little tiny twists and improvements is really important. But it is hard to come up with awesome themes. And if you're ever looking for really amazing themes, definitely tune into Wheel of Fortune. I know it sounds silly, but it is true because that game show has so many themes that are really relevant, and they decorate their entire studio. And if you've ever been to a taping, it's pretty amazing because they go above and beyond when it comes to themes, and that's just one of the best places to learn about theme ideas. Complete in-house planning on time, we just talked about that, about deadlines, adhering to the budget, setting it correctly from the start, and making sure that you know, you really understand what you're going to be spending your money on. And that's a good thing from the start to think about. Where do you want to spend your money? If it's going to be a cocktail hour, you're going to probably spend it on alcohol. If it's going to be a seminar, it's probably going to be, frankly, on the prep time. And that's one thing to take into consideration. Our annual seminar every year has an outside cost because we hold it at the Oregon Convention Center, but the real cost comes internally from attorney time preparing for each of their speeches. Now, we have over 20 attorneys here, and 8 of them speak each year, but those 8 people, they take hours and hours to prepare because they're going to be in front of 800 people on a stage, and that internal time of preparing, that non-billed time, is something to take into consideration. Coordinate with vendors and outside contacts. So we, like I said, hold our annual at one place every year, so it doesn't change. The venue doesn't change, which is nice because it's the same setup every year. But then we have our decorating team that comes in, and then everything else we handle inside. So we deal with the venue, and through the venue, the catering, and then the decorations. Managing the RSVP list. This is a really big conversation that many people can have. Finding a way to manage RSVPs that works for you and your firm is really important. Some people really believe in that person-to-person contact of emailing every single person back and you know, that personal connection. A lot of things have become automated, which is also totally fine. I would say whatever your firm sits down and feels is the best fit for your firm, but that also can be affordable for your firm. So I would look at how to manage RSVPs, especially if you're looking at RSVP lists of hundreds. And then what you want that to look like, if you wanted to have the automatic calendar, if you want to be able to manage if they're forwarding it and other people are signing up. So just keep that in mind. And then meeting that print deadline. And then the picture on this one is we had the Barran Liebman to the rescue. So it was a superhero theme that year. And that's just a few of our attorneys and staff. All of our staff works the event. which is really a fun thing for everyone. All of our kids wear the same T-shirts on setup day. It's a pretty fun event, and everyone gets really into it. So what are some lessons learned that we've had so far? Live by those timelines. That details require patience, patience, patience. Build trust within the team, so you welcome that input. But you got to know your players. Seek feedback from attendees and team members. And that's a really big one. Again, that's something that before every signature event we have, no matter which one we're doing, and we'll talk about a few other ones in addition to the annual seminar I keep referring to in a few minutes, but seeking feedback. We plan all of our feedback before the event. So we prepare all of the surveys that are going to go out, the evaluations, so that when we come back to the office the next day, that thank you for attending email is already prepared with the link to the survey. And it's one of the best things we've ever done because it's done well. It was done in advance. It's not rushed. And we're thinking logically about what we're going to be asking people. And it's really helpful to get that feedback and to listen to that feedback. We are able to improve on our signature events greatly from listening to the feedback of our attendees. Being flexible, I will say any event planner that I think enjoys their job learns to be flexible. As someone who started off event planning for a firm that was not flexible, I can speak firsthand on this. It's really difficult when you have a complete idea in your head of how you want something to go and look and feel, and it doesn't meet those expectations. What's interesting is when you take a step back, everyone around you, especially the people enjoying the event, your attendees, they don't know what that original picture looked like in your head, right? So I always have to remind myself that when something isn't exactly how I had imagined it, I think to myself, but does anybody notice, and would anybody ever care? And I had to really do a lot of self-talk through that, because when you spend so much time preparing for a signature event that you're putting money and sweat equity into, if it doesn't look exactly how you thought it would, you can feel like you failed or it was a letdown, or people are really just not going to appreciate the event as much. But what I've learned is sometimes people will say, oh my gosh, I love, insert any element of an event here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Because that was the one thing that I thought just didn't look or didn't feel how I wanted it to. So it's getting through, from concept to actual implementation. There will always be changes. And what I visualize in my head is when I'm watching HGTV and I see that situation where, they have the Property Brothers, they have their design and they flash that on the screen and then they flash up that finished product. It always looks similar, but it never looks the same, but it's still beautiful and it's still awesome. So I always just have that little, nugget in my back pocket when I have that feeling in my head when I'm looking at something going, oh, that wasn't how I thought the CAD drawing looked originally, or those weren't the colors I thought we were using for the flower vases. It's just things like that, self-talk and self-help, and going into it with a flexible, open mind with your team and with your venue, especially if you're seeking feedback from others, is really helpful to have. And then being a problem solver. I will say, when I was in college, I spent time working in the wedding and event planning industry. And I will say, being flexible and solving issues when they come up, being to identify what a real issue is, oh, we're out of X, Y, or Z and we need something else. Being a problem solver and just not letting it show on your face, that's what I mean by the no drama. Just keeping a smile on your face and just figuring out things on the go is really important when it comes to any type of event. So a few years ago, we have an event called Women in Business where we celebrate all of our female clients, because at Barran Liebman, Barran is Paula Barran, and she is one of the first named partners of any law firm in Oregon. And we celebrate all of our female clients at an event. And there's usually about 250 women that come to that event. And a couple years ago, it was a pretty sticky situation. Someone came up to me and said, oh, hey, Traci, all of, I think we'd ordered 12 different appetizers, and half of them at that point were gone. And it was not even halfway through the event. And I was like, oh, looks like people, are really enjoying the food. That was, a positive spin on that. But in my head, I was thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? We need a lot more food. So I just took that person that came up to me to the side and I said, thank you so much for letting me know. can I walk with you immediately to the chef and talk to that person? And she walked me to the chef, and the chef and I spoke, and I said, okay, here's our situation. Your food is amazing. People are loving it. I know that we're out of X, Y, and Z. What can we come up with on the spot to start preparing? You know, what do you have in your fridge? And she looked around and she said, oh my gosh, we can make blah, blah, and blah. And we just started making it. And it was, you know, so it wasn't something we had planned. It wasn't originally on our BEO. It was going to be an extra expense. I knew that right in that moment. But we had so many people that are having such a great time, really coming to fruition what we had anticipated, but we just had run out of specific types of food, and I needed to provide more vegan and vegetarian options at that moment. And we came up with some great, like, big bite-sized, like, pizza slices and things like that looked really nice. They plated them super fast, and people were really loving it. But from an attendee perspective, nobody ever knew that we didn't have enough food that I had originally ordered, because the food just kept coming. Nobody knew what the menu was supposed to be. It wasn't a big deal to anybody else. And at the end, some people said that their favorite dishes were ones that we hadn't even intended serving. So just being a problem solver and, like, not letting it show in your face and being a leader under pressure and figuring out things on the spot is really, really important. Event follow-up. We've talked about this a little bit, but these are a few things. So for our annual seminar, creating that thank you email to attendees with the survey and the certificate of attendance for CLE purposes, again, something that is extremely important and something that you can prepare in advance to just have ready for a click. All you have to do is come back after the event, take off the name tags. You know, we always collect the name tags of the people that didn't show up. So you remove those from your list, and then you know exactly who you're going to send your thank you email to for attending. It just makes sense not to send a thank you for attending email to folks that didn't come, right? Attorney follow-up with clients, that's something from the start that I think is really important to make sure that you have figured out from the beginning. And then again, creating some sort of carrot to make sure that people are following through, getting people excited about it. I'm really into thanking all of my team members that help with every single event that we do, because like I said, we do a lot. We do about 20 signature events a year, ranging from smaller to, 800 people. But I always thank my team members and my attorneys with lunch, gifts, just little small tokens. But again, I do all of that pre-planning in advance. For instance, with this upcoming annual seminar we have, like I said, the theme is a rodeo. So all of our mail, I got team member fun little things. So people get either horseshoe cufflinks, their choice, horseshoe cufflinks, or a really cute horseshoe silver necklace. And so it's a nice thank you, and it's something that people will wear in the future, and it's a conversation starter too, like, oh my gosh, I love those cufflinks, where'd you get those? Oh, actually, they were a thank you from our annual seminar. Hey, have you come to that before? I mean, it's like the marketing all rolled in, but a little memento goes a long way, and I think that appreciating people, their talents, their time, and their efforts is one of the best ways to grow a group into a strong signature event group, because people look forward to it internally as well. And even though it takes time and energy and money, if people are excited about it, they feel like the stock in that event goes way up. And then always planning for next year. We are constantly planning for next year, which always sounds crazy, but when we have our event this year in October, it's on October 5th, the next day people are going to be asking me, what is the theme for next year? What is the theme for next year? Which is awesome. That's what we want. We want people excited. It's hard, right? I always tell everybody, I'm going to need 2 months to just to just have a little break here. But people get excited about things. And so using that as motivation to start planning again and start keeping it going is really, really important. Event ROI. So what are the things, what are ways to measure if the event is successful? So we look at brand elevation. Do people recognize us? Do people know what's going on? Are we known for exactly what we do, which is great with the CLE themes, because we're able to get up in front of a large group of people and showcase our talents. Showcasing talent is pretty hard for a lot of lawyers, unless they're litigators and people come and watch them. It's really hard for lawyers to say, oh, I'm amazing at what I do, and let me demonstrate that for you. So being able to get up and speak to a large group of people, to be charismatic and entertaining and fun, while giving them much needed information about something that is affecting their workplace. That's something we take really seriously here. So that brand elevation, do people recognize who we are and what we do? Client retention. I always feel like a lot in the marketing world, in my marketing world, we're always thinking about new clients. But one of the most important things for any business is to focus on current clients. I love our current clients. Our current clients are what we're all about. New clients are fantastic as well, but client retention and making your current clients, in compliance and make sure that they have what they need. Not every signature event has to be about, taking over the world. It can really just be that brand elevation, that brand awareness, that client retention, and saying, hey, we have something that's really valuable to our current clients. Current clients are just, they're my true love. New clients, though, it's great. When prospective clients come to signature events, they get to, one, meet your current clients, which speaks volumes about any firm, and two, they get to interact with the folks that they would be working with. And that's what, is really important. If you have a strength in your firm of people that, do really well in a group setting, thinking about signature events is a really important thing to be considering. That feedback is important, and that internal development piece is really nice too. So say you don't have a group of people that are the most natural networkers and this and that. Having an event where it's going to be all about, networking with current clients and making the small talk, but turning it into a meaningful experience, that's a great thing to have everyone looking forward to and then doing little things. So say this is just an idea. But say you do decide to do a social event with clients in 6 months and the firm is excited about it and you're going to go for it. Well, you can have little workshops, over lunch once a month leading up to it on like conversation starters and what are the 5 clients you're going to make sure you talk to and what are you going to talk to them about? You can use it as a way to internally develop skills that your current folks may not currently have. If you have a situation where you want to do a CLE and not everyone is, an amazing speaker today, that's okay. Give your really great speakers longer speaking spots and your people that still need to develop more, the smaller speaking spots. Make it digestible. Make it something that they can prepare for and do well, but let your headliners headline and let other people grow into their roles. That internal development is really great. And if you have a plan for it and explain the plan, internally those politics can be avoided of why someone, is getting more time and someone isn't. If you explain, we really want everyone to, develop these skills, and this is a great opportunity to do so. We have a few pictures on this slide. So in 2011, we had like a movie theme, which was really, really fun. It was like a Hollywood theme. And then we have the Barran Liebman Rocks again. So that was that rock and roll theme. And then you have a picture of what we looked like when we did that college theme. So everyone had Barran Liebman University shirts on. We had a lot of game day beads. We had those, the fingers that say number 1 that said Team Barran Liebman. People got super into it, and it was really fun. How to keep momentum. So client enhancement, save the date notices, pitch it at other events, make a news story about it. We had this really great, I put it in here, when we had our rock and roll theme, we had it covered by a local magazine, and they came and they took pictures of everything. You see the wine bottle giveaways. You see Paula up on stage speaking. You see our managing partner in a Sergeant Pepper Lonely Hearts Club. He wore that up on stage. It was super fun. We had really great props. The T-shirts were the rock and roll hand that said BO Rocks. Everything was really themed. And then you see what our stage looked like. It looked like a concert stage, and we had the flown screens, and we played during intermission for that one. We played, a top rock and roll hit video. It was really fun, and people got really into that theme. Clients walk away from it going, I learned something, and it was really fun. But we carry that theme through when we're inviting people. And what's really great is we're able to, pitch some of our signature events at other things that we're doing. So just today we have an attorney speaking at a local association for something. Well, I'm going to throw in a slide at the end of their presentation that says, oh, and by the way, coming up is Barran Liebman's annual seminar. You're all invited. Just let me know if you want to come. So you can use it as a way to enhance your brand and give attorneys something else to pitch. You know, that's the follow-up. That's the key to the next step, is having that stepping stone of, oh, hey, by the way, we're having this come up. Why don't you join us? Having something internally that is your own firm's, you know, gig is great, because you control the invitations, you control who's coming, you control what's going on, and it gives your attorneys the opportunity to bring more people along as they go. So our seminar in just a few days, or yeah, really it was like 2 weeks from tomorrow, is the Barran Liebman Roundup. We've been talking about that. So in the middle we have our little BL badge with the stars around it. That will be the logo, that is the logo, that we literally have put on everything, on our custom bandanas that'll be everywhere, on our giveaways, on every single slide. Just how on the slides you see right here, we have the ABA Women Rainmakers in the Law Practice Division. That BL logo that we just created a different one every year. Last year we did, or the year before we did like a root BL. So we did like that road sign. And we put that on everything. So it's just consistency, and it's coming up with something that's memorable and unique and putting it all over. And then coming up with, like I said, those titles, lassoing the latest in employment, you know, those play on words is just really fun for people. I'm going to
Tracy?
play. Yes.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for joining us.
I'm so sorry we had some internet issues at this end, but I do have some questions coming up, so we might want to just move along a little bit more quickly.
Oh, no, we're very good. No problem.
Great.
So thanks for joining us. So you have this link in the slides, and we will just see if it works really quickly. We never know if it will. It's coming up. Oh, fantastic. I think it's going to work for us today.
Are you ready for a fantastic voyage of a program? We're happy to have you join us to embark upon the great Barran Liebman road trip. Now we get this show on the road. Thanks very much for being here. We love this, and thank you. Good night.
So that was just a little something of what it looked like, what our annual looks like. So, and if anyone has questions about how to have something filmed, please hit me offline, and I will also explain that to you, because those things always look really expensive, but they don't need to be. So other firm events, what are other things that we can look at? So educational seminars, we've definitely gone through that. Networking events for women, that's something that's really big for us. Like I said, Barran Liebman, Paula Barran is a female, so a named partner is a big deal for us. Client family focused events, we've had a lot of success with those. Local museum, we've rented out the Children's Museum, picnics, things of that nature. Client outings, we do a lot of client outings with sporting events, and those are really, really fun as well. But again, tailor it to your client interests, who you're trying to reach, and tailor it to your firm's strengths. Internal events are also things that you can put a signature spin on, because if you think about it, that's like the internal marketing as opposed to external marketing. People have different reasons why they last long term in different firms, And if you have really memorable, fun events, holiday parties, summer parties, charitable activities, karaoke events, happy hour gatherings, taste of events, summer associate events, we've had a lot of success with those. People look forward to them. Their families come, and it's just great team building. So, and again, it's to promote the team, enhance relationships, and express appreciation. Words of wisdom. So again, building that excitement, dedication to the event, working backwards from the goal, being flexible, saying thank you, planning to say thank you and meaning it, calendaring every deadline and sticking to it, and having fun. And some words of wisdom at the very end. So making an event that is uniquely yours is really important. I mean, what I hope that people can take from these slides and these photos today is thinking outside the box a little bit and getting creative. And believe me, you can take any of these ideas and make them your own. Following up, we've talked a lot about that, is the key to developing the new business or solidifying those current clients. Typing up detailed notes the day after while the event is fresh in your head so that you can refer to them in planning for the next event. Always mixing it up and keeping it fresh, and invite ideas for next time. And those are two of my kids. They always help set up the year before, so that was the Barran Liebman superhero one a few years ago. All right, Jeannie, we're ready for your questions.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And for those who don't know Traci, she actually has a third one that's not pictured there. So we look forward to perhaps seeing 3 in the future pictures of.
Oh, yeah, she's got a cowgirl boots for next week.
Okay. Well, first of all, what is a good first event to start with?
Oh, that's a really good question. So if we are looking at a situation where we don't have any signature events going on right now, the best type of event to start with is the one that you sit down, you think through fully, and you have an objective. So think about who you want to reach, who the firm wants to reach, how you can reach them, what would be interesting to them, and then also think budget-wise, what is something reasonable that the firm is willing to spend on a first event? That will help you figure it out. Maybe you start with a lunchtime CLE at a local, easy to get to venue, and you're just providing lunch for 35 people, and you have 2 of your attorneys speaking, right? So you can always start small. Start on something that is doable, because if you want to do it really well the first time, so make it something that can be handled and that there are legitimate reasons that tie back to your business plan. So I would always start with a little CLE action, but you can always start also with a nice mixer, as long as there's some reason to do it. Perhaps you want to raise money for something that's going on in the world, but some reason to draw people together that would give them a reason to want to be there is really important. Another question?
What if you are, just like a firm of 3 or 4?
Oh, that's a really good question as well. So at that point, again, I would sit down with everyone who has a stake in that firm and talk about how we can develop or solidify clients through an event, right? To even think about, is it important? Is an event going to help us in some way? I think that one way a smaller firm can find a good idea here is to look at doing a community service activity or something where the firm doesn't have to put on an entire thing, but be part of something bigger and get a group of people together, clients, referral sources, and go do something and then treat everyone to a lunch or treat everyone to a happy hour. So we don't have to be putting together the entire thing from the start. Or you can do something like that. One thing recently that we had some folks do is think about taking a group of people out and doing like a tree-to-tree adventure, or anything that you think, again, you have to go back to who is your clientele, who are your attorneys, how are you going to get them all in the same room, and what is something that they're going to like to do. And if you can get that nailed down, then the possibilities are endless, and so are the price points. So you really have to think about who you're trying to get together for what reason and what is the budget going to be. Another question?
Yes, let's see here. Well, then how much time or effort does it take to plan like an event like yours or a smaller one like the one you just spoke about?
Very good. I think that is a personal question based on your capacity. Some people can put, I would always say you want to start planning something at least 6 months out, just because you need a venue and you need to get everything together and you need to invite people early enough that they can attend something. But it also really depends on the capacity of the people working on it. Events can take a lot of time, especially at the start. Once you get going with something and it's the same type of routine and timeline, it's a lot easier. But things do take time. They take patience. You can't control all of the variables when it comes to planning signature events. But I would say at least 6 months out, if not a year. But again, a lot of people have come to me and they said, okay, Traci, our firm's 20th anniversary is coming up in 4 months. We need to do something big. So it can be done, and it can be done well. But you have to have the desire internally, and you have to have someone who's going to do point and really stick to a timeline if it's going to be closer within 4 to 5 months for a bigger event. But I've seen those happen. They work well. Sometimes you bring in an outside person to help a little bit if that's in the budget. But it just depends again on the capacity of the person that is in charge of making sure everything happens. Any other questions?
This is a dual question. So first of all, how you're going to get support from the other people in your office, and what do you do if this is like one of your first events to the naysayers?
Great question. Okay. So first off, getting support from internally in the office. So and this is the same advice I would give to an associate or someone internally at a firm. The best thing you can do to get anything off the ground is to find the champion, the person that you know is going to be interested in this, that you've talked to about it before, or that you can go to and say, hey, I listened to a webinar today, and I think we're at a place where we should really do something with our clients. It's time. We need face time. Here are the top 5 reasons I think we can do it. Are you on board? You don't go plan an event and then try to sell to your partnership. You go to a few partners and you say, do you think that this has some legs? Do you think that this is something the partnership would consider? And then if they say yes, you say, okay, can I put together a very small proposal that you'd be willing to look at? And if you like what you see, would you help me approach the rest of the partnership? And if you have like some serious naysayers, you just have to see, can you do it without them? Can you do it without their blessing? Believe me, naysayers are always going to be out there. So the best thing though is when you have a naysayer, you go to them and say, look, this is advice, but this is also, take it with a grain of salt, because you have to know your internal politics and know your people. But I've had a naysayer before, and I've gone to them and I've just been really straightforward. And I said, look, I understand your concerns. I understand that you don't see the value or the ROI or why we're doing this. If you could give me the professional courtesy of letting this, go through, and you having an open mind about it, and then after we try it once, we can really sit down and see, did this have some potential that maybe we didn't originally both agree on? Would you be willing to give me that professional courtesy as someone who cares about this firm, wants this firm to succeed, and I think I'm onto something here? And I've had people look back at me and go, wow, now that you put it that way, yeah, let's try it. I still don't think I like it, but let's try it and let's see what happens. And then a few years later, they're like, wow, this event is amazing. I'm so glad we're doing this. Is it a fairy tale ending home run every time? No, but there comes a point where if you're going to institute something, you're probably going to have a difficult conversation one way or the, at some point, and just preparing yourself with a few talking points of, hey, I'm doing this because I think it's really important that the firm have this opportunity. It can elevate our brand. It can solidify current clients. It gives the firm, something unique, a standout feature. Plus, we're going to be able to, celebrate our anniversary, or we're going to be able to, bring in clients we haven't seen in a long time, or we're going to be able to educate our clients on new laws and regulations. Just having those bullet points and asking, just point blank asking if someone can just, go along with it, even though they don't love it, and just take the negativity out of it, it can go a long way. And if that doesn't work for you, call me and we'll come up with a different angle. But I'm really into just, at least you got to try something once. Now, of course, don't go in with a $100,000 idea, right? That's going to be a lot for the first one. But starting small and getting the firm excited about something, and just directly dealing with any naysayers, I think is just the way to go.
Great. Just one quick question, 1 minute, so we can get through some other slides. What are the resources that someone would need to consider before launching an event, like admin resources or some kind of RSVP system?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit in the slides, but I think it depends on how big you're trying to go. I think anything under 100 people, you can pretty much do just via email, RSVP to an email. You can create any email account with your server. It can just be, RSVP at, insertyourname.com. And you can just, create that. Otherwise, there are tons of RSVP systems out there. And I would say the best thing to do is look into them, figure out, not even in law, but in other industries, what are people using? Think about what do you use when you sign up to attend other events? What's easy to use? And then you got to find out the pricing. Sometimes they're way cheaper than you think, and sometimes they cost way more than you think. So I would start with how many RSVPs are we thinking are going to happen here? And then is there a budget? And then go from there. But I'll be honest, we actually take all of our RSVPs through email here, even the event that has 800 people. We're really big on that communication back and forth, but we have someone dedicated to the event leading up to it that has the time to respond to those. We also, of course, create responses in the signature block situation so that the responses literally take, 3 seconds each, but we really like that personal touch. So it's different for everyone. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer, but you do want to consider if it's going to add a cost.
Okay. Well, if I could have the next slide. Thank you, Traci. If you have any other questions, and as you heard Traci, she has very generously offered to answer your questions. If you think of them later, just go ahead and connect with her, or as you're planning the event and you may have some questions, go ahead and connect with Traci. She is such a wonderful resource for all of us who are trying to start new events and build our business base. So if we are in the process of developing our 2018 webinar series, the next one will be on November 29th. The registration page is already up on our homepage of ABA Women Rainmakers. It will be with Dee Schiavelli, and it's going to be on LinkedIn, more powerful than ever. And anyone who's been active on LinkedIn knows that they are constantly doing changes, and Dee has been working consistently to keep us up to date, and this will be our next webinar, and she will bring us up to date on how we can be using our LinkedIn with all the changes. If you have any ideas for any webinars, go ahead and email me at jeannie@lawyermentorcoach.com, and we are taking ideas, and then Carol Bass, who is my co-chair, and I will be going through the topics and figuring out what might have the highest level of interest at that time. Next slide.
There we go.
So thank you. So there's our ABA Women Rainmakers homepage, and all you actually have to do is just Google ABA Women Rainmakers, and our homepage will come up, and you'll see all our latest events coming up. Okay, next page. I did want to tell everyone that we do have a marketing success book out there, and until I believe, let's see, it says November 30th on the left-hand side, you can get 10% off of this book if you will just enter that code. And there were many people on the ABA Women Rainmakers Committee who worked on this book. Traci is one, I am one, Dee is also another one, and we went and we interviewed a lot of women on how they were able to build their practices from one-woman shops all the way to billing $15 million a year. So we hope that if you're interested in learning more about how to build, you'll go ahead and order this book through the ABA, and it will be good through November 30th. Okay, so until our next conversation, our next webinar, please reach out to either Traci or I, or if you have any questions, and we wish you much success to your successful rainmaking. Thank you. This concludes our webinar.